What's up, everybody? It's Tiffany Gaines, host of the Secrets Podcast. How do you motivate yourself when you're doing something that maybe you're not all that thrilled about doing? So, listen, everybody knows I work in the legal industry, the legal field. Is it an industry or is it a field? The legal field. Though it wasn't industry this week, it was kind of industrious this week, industrial, which kind of caters to the point that I want to talk about. So, sometimes when you don't feel like doing something, you've already decided in your mind that it's going to vex you to do it. And so then you walk into it with that energy and it ends up being more taxing and it ends up not going the way you want it, or it ends up just kind of grieving your spirit to get through the whole process. Listen, I knew last week, I'm wiping off something on my desk. I don't know why it's there. I need to get that up. I think it's from where I had my coffee. Anyway, I knew last week my awesome boss said Friday that he needed me to come into the office and I was going to have to do a lot of scanning. I'm a paralegal, for those who don't know. Paralegal, right? Sometimes you get to do interesting things. And sometimes the job kind of takes you back about 20 years, right? So I was going to have to scan all of that. Like he said, 6 boxes worth of binders. He told me this Friday. And any other time, um, just thinking about it now, Lord, any other time I would have eye rolled, just like, golly, man, not eye rolling him asking me to do something because I wasn't feeling that way, but like eye rolling the task. Damn, I don't want to stand up and scan 6 boxes worth of binders. That's a lot, man, right? You can get about 6 binders, like 3-inch binders, maybe 4 in a box, depending on how you stack them and depending on the kind of box. I thought it was just a regular banker's box. Child, these were FedEx size boxes, so it was about 8 binders in a box. So anyway, and in any time in 2023, if somebody's telling you to scan in 2023, that means the documents are pre-digital phase. So that means the documents are old, and my allergies, right? I don't want to own an ailment or malady or whatever. But, you know, old paper, it's kind of moldy. It gives me a headache anyway. And so I always have to put on a mask whenever we have these random projects and I got to scan something that's old. So, right. So on Friday, I made the decision in my mind and I just said, no problem on my email. So I go in the office Monday, we unbox the binders and it's worse than I thought. The pages are old. It's one thing to be able to just, okay, you can put them through the feeder and they go through. Not these. Not these. Some of these were like glass work. You had to unfold the paper, put it on the glass, straighten it out, put the lid down, press the button, lift the lid, fold it back up, put it in the binder, and go to the next one. Child, I was like, I'm going to be until eternity doing this. Some of them I can put in the feeder, right? But the paper is from the 1900s, right? Like the 1970s, the 1980s. So what was it doing? Jamming in the feeder. Some of the paper, Lord, was so funny. Once one group of sheets got jammed in the feeder because they was so old, they had formed a relationship and become one. So I had to pry the pages apart. Some of the pages had been in relationship so long, the print was on the back of the other page. So Monday, this was my Monday morning. But I made the decision on Friday to accept this task. But not that I made the decision, but it was how I accepted it. And you know how the old cliche is not how you start but how you finish. In this instance, it was not the task but how I chose to get through the task, because it made every difference to me in my mind and my soul and my spirit how I accepted this task. Not as something I didn't want to do, but it was how I was going to get through it. And I made the decision in my mind and my spirit on Friday. I knew what it was, but instead of eye rolling it, I truly didn't look at it in a negative way. And so every time one of those sheets got jammed in the feeder, I never lost my patience. I never lost my cool. I think one time I was like, come on, right? But it was after like the fourth time this set of documents from the 1900s jammed in the feeder. But I was thankful that I could get a set of documents that I could put in a feeder, right? But it was truly how I decided to look at the task and not the task itself. And in so many instances, when we decide that when we build up an energy about something we don't want to do, we have defeated the moment. We have defeated ourselves even before we start it. Our energy carries us. The type of energy you have about something will carry you through something. If it's a person that you don't want to see or that you just kind of have a bad relationship with, how you have told yourself, how you have adopted a feeling tone about said person, place, or thing, whatever noun you're dealing with, is how you will get through the moment. So, how you look at something is how you will get through something. If you assume it to be a chore and a challenge at the onset, not a challenge that you can conquer, but a challenge that's already defeated you because you have internalized that you don't want to do it, thus you have rejected it. That is the energy that's gonna unfold as you're going through it. Frustration, eye rolling, exasperation, sometimes stress, right? And so I was so proud of myself. And it was like I was watching myself do this. I was looking at myself like, let me see if this bitch is telling the truth. This really how she gonna get through this? I was looking at myself, coaching myself through this, and I had the best, most productive work week. And yes, I was tired. I worked 11-hour days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But my body might have felt some kind of way, but my mind I felt accomplished. I felt proud of myself because I got a chance to really see the action or the result of what I've been learning about, what I've been trying to do. And, instead of just looking down at something, I looked up at the opportunity. I looked up at the opportunity to see if I could manifest a different mindset, a different spirit about something, right? That I wouldn't have done before. And so now I'm going to implement this process in everything. If it's a person that I've had a negative disposition or an energy about, I am going to flip my thought process around, my feeling tone about anything that I approach. And I'm going to look at it like I looked at that project. It is not what I got to do, it is how I got to do it. And the result that it produced, I had an awesome week. And if I could find that same consistency in everything that I do, I did not feel, a lot of times I have in the past looked down on myself or I a lot of times count myself out of something before I even started. I'm not going to be able to do this. Or how am I going to be able to do this? Not, okay, how am I going to be able to do this? But how am I going to do this? How am I going to finish this? I mean, the energy, the energy that you're using to make you look down on something, you could also use that energy to swell you up, to lift you up. Learning how to love people where they are is probably the hardest thing that I do. It's probably the hardest thing that we do as human beings is loving people where they are, no matter where they are. Because I think people are oftentimes more often than we realize doing the very best they can. Learning to live with and love people where they are is something that we could all do better. And the same thing with task. Learning to live with and love a task, a chore, a job where it is the key ingredient to how you do in that particular moment. Loving or being in a place of gratitude about it, being in a place of gratitude for having the job, or if you don't want to clean your house, but you got a house to clean. I had to jump off because one of my I had to jump off and take a work call, but that's life, you know. But anyway, and that point in itself, right? So how you what you do, we should focus more on how we're doing something, how we're getting through something, and not the what we're doing. When it comes to people, how are we treating people, not what the people are doing, right? Not who the person is, not what that person doing, but how are we interacting. And man, it's a self check for me because I struggle sometimes with personalities that are abrasive, and but I don't always, and we always do this. People always do this. We never think about what that person is going through, what that person is built of, what their makeup is. We just assume that they should have the same sort of commonsensical approach or the same on par life habits that we have. Might not be how that person's made. So I'm going to, from this day forward, attack everything, whether it's cleaning, whether it's cooking, whether it's peopling, how I attack that binder project. I'm going to be thankful for the house. I'm going to be thankful for the food. I'm going to be thankful for the person and take a different feeling tone and approach in getting through the moment. Instead of calling some negative vibe into a person, place, or thing that I haven't always had the best idea or attitude about dealing with, I'm going to call some different things. I'm going to call a different energy into that space and get through it in a positive way. The same way I did this. Y'all don't have any idea of how proud I am of how I handled this work week, man. How I attacked that project is the energy that I carried into that project is going to be the new way that I operate any process in my life. Not saying, Lord knows, I'm not saying that everything will I get through in smooth fashion like I did this work week, because I think people is where I struggle the most. But I think carrying the energy that you want to have at the end of something, if you pack up the energy and the relief, sometimes we say, I'll be glad when I'm done with this work day. Well, what you've already said is that you don't even want to deal with the work day, or you've already called into existence some bit of resistance to the work day before it even starts. We're already looking at the end of something before we even look at the moment that we're in. That it's a resistance. We're calling into that moment some bit of resistance to what we have to do, to the task at hand. I'll be glad when I'm done with this project. That's not anything that's going to help you out. You'll be glad when you're finished with something before you even started, or while you're in process of it. And so I just maintained a now presence, and I maintained a positive outlook on what I was doing, what it was giving me an opportunity to do. You know, overtime. Who can use a little bit of extra change? but I was thinking about how, because I knew that I had to do it, and I knew I needed my sanity to get through it. And so I just, man, it was amazing to me to to flip a switch and to choose. I really chose how I was going to get through something, and that it worked. I was mind blown. I didn't say once, I'll be glad when I'm done. Not once. I was just like, okay, next binder. Okay, next binder. Next binder. Next binder. Until I was done. And and this is the great thing, is that my boss came in, my managing partner came in, and he said, "Is a lot of this glass work?" And I said, "A lot of it is." He said, "Damn." He said, "Well, can you send some of it out?" You see? So I didn't even bring that part up. It was like 32 binders total. And he said, "Well, why don't you pick some that are going to be too much work and send out?" So when I was on like the first 4 or 5, and I was doing all that glass work, and I really feel like, because I was keeping such a positive energy about it, the universe granted me some favor. And he said, "Why don't you pick some to send out?" And so ended up, I had to deal with a lot of them that were, the paper was sensitive, and a lot of, but I ended up choosing for myself the ones that I can just feed in, and hey, I'll deal with the copy or jamming and just pulling it out and restarting it. And Lord knows I did that enough times. But the ones that I was going to have to lift that lid up, put it down, press that button, lift that lid up, and put it to the side, I was able to send all that stuff out to a vendor. So I ended up scanning about 18. The vendor ended up scanning about 17. But I really believe it was my energy about the process, the way I was looking at it, the way I was internalizing it. I ended up with a favorable outcome. I ended up with some grace. And you know, and so what are you carrying into a situation? What you're carrying into a situation is what will get you through a situation. The attitude that you carry in is what you will get out. You bring some negative vibes in, that is what you will get out. You start looking at the end before you even embrace where you are at the beginning. You know, nobody looks at the end of the vacation while they're at the first day of the vacation, right? Once you're at your last day, you start saying, "Oh, I don't want to leave." Or when you're at the airport, you don't want to leave. But nobody is thinking on their first day. On your first day of vacation, I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago. My first day, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited to be on vacation." And I had an awesome time. But nobody looks at the end of their vacation while they're at the beginning. And so, because you want it to last, you want the good feeling to last. You want this to be an awesome experience. But if we could carry that same mindset and energy into everything that we think we don't want to do, we flip the script on the experience. It ends up being something else. It's not as exasperating, it's not as tedious. What emotional clothing have you packed into the suitcase of what's about to be your experience? Because we all have to do things that are not ideal, things that may be laborious, things that might require a little bit more patience. But man, this week was an example to me that we can choose something different. We can choose a better pattern, a path to how we walk into each and every experience. It does not have to be what we always expect it to be. I'm still thinking about it, and I'm still mind blown by it. What's in your suitcase? Is it some negative vibes? Is some "I don't want to do's"? "I can't wait until's"? Or is there some gratitude, some thankfulness, some one step at a time? What are you packing in your suitcase to carry you through an experience? Man, it will change the experience altogether. And I plan on using that because I've heard it as rhetoric. I've heard it as talk. I've heard it as conversation. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Same thing. But I've actually gotten a chance to experience it and to really get it. And so this week was an awesome work week. And I'm happy. I have not been able to get on my mic. I've not been able to do a recording this week. Being in a place of gratitude about life, it just gives a different level of appreciation about the people around you. Yeah. Living in a place of gratitude is the key. And so um I just wanted to get on and say that I am going to now, henceforth, now and forevermore, continue to pack positivity into my emotional luggage. There will be no more. Can't wait till. How am I gonna? Nope. We got some different kind of swimsuits in here. Some two pieces too, because I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna show off my new um emotional luggage. I'm gonna show off my new emotional bikinis, child. I'm finna two-piece this thing. What are you packing in your emotional luggage? Can you pull out some things that are positive, some things that are going to get you through a situation? Or are you going to pull out some things that are going to make the situation more grueling for you? So, Tiffany Gaines, host of the Secrets Podcast, please, people, like and subscribe. Peace. I'll see everybody next time.